Radio, every Monday night from 8 p.m. in the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM Radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
Stand by, we're starting in a few minutes. Keep it locked. Eleven minutes, moving down past the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you everyone for tuning in to tonight's In the Spotlight radio show. It is always my pleasure to be here on a Monday night, and this Monday night is no different. We missed a few Mondays because we wanted to accommodate our host, Q95, in facilitating or carrying the electoral reform consultations. Of course, we did not want to deny their listeners and Dominicans the opportunity to engage in the consultations, and of course, you have to work collaboratively in partnerships to ensure that certain things happen. So we decided, Q95 said we would like to carry those consultations, and I said no problem. And so we missed a few Mondays, but I know your Monday night was definitely not wasted, and you had the opportunity to listen, discuss, and give feedback where necessary in terms of the electoral reform consultations. Wherever you are this evening, good evening to you. It is such a pleasure, as always, to be here with you for the In the Spotlight radio show. You know, we always have some very good, interesting guests on our program, all so very different, you know, in their own way. And so we welcome the diversity, the different types of people at different stratas in society, whatever the case might be. You know, we welcome you to the program. Before we get into the program for tonight, I would like to use the opportunity to mention a young lady by the name of Octavia Nicholas. Octavia is a Dominican. She's from Castle Bruce, and she's now based in Antigua. Now, Octavia went through a rather difficult experience in life, and she has written about her story, and the book is entitled Surviving a Narcissist, right? And Octavia did a book launch in Antigua, and she thought, you know, how about I do one in Dominica, my home, my country of birth. And on the 23rd of September at the ballroom of the Prevost Cinema, I will assist Octavia in hosting a book tour, Surviving a Narcissist, and it will cost you just about $100. But note, this is a book launch of a difference, and the price includes a copy of the book. I think that this is an important message that Octavia is coming to share with you. I would like to encourage you. You can contact me if you're interested in attending, or you can always get tickets at the Glam. And her story is about violence against women, abuse, and so much more. As I said, this is not just a book, it is actually a real life story. So I hope that some of you who are tuned into the program tonight, those who are viewing via Facebook, that you will definitely join us on the 23rd for that true life story of Octavia Nicholas. So again, we have tickets available at the Glam. You can always contact me if you know Zilma Charles. Zilma Charles also has tickets that you can get. And again, as I said, the price includes a copy of the book that you really do want to read. So this is a Dominican, you know, doing her thing, telling her story. And all we ask is that you come out and give her some support. This is not about money making, to be honest with you. Her budget involves her flight to Dominica, accommodation while she's in Dominica, payment for the venue, and you know, other things, tickets and all of that. And I know, I said to Octavia, you know, you're not really going to break even with this. She said, Fidina, it does not matter. I really just want to share my story. So if you're listening and you would even want to support the book launch, then we would definitely be happy to have you come on board as a partner. And just bigging up at this time the Glam. Thank you for allowing the sale of tickets at your location. MO News, we appreciate you for sharing the information, and anyone who has supported Elima and her decor business, anyone who has supported in one way or the other. But tonight it's about my guest, Charlene White Christian, and we're coming right back to begin our conversation on the In the Spotlight radio show tonight. Great old house. I think we should be getting some dinner tonight, so thank you in advance for your kindness and your generosity. We really do appreciate it. We're coming right back right after this. Keep it locked.
in the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday nights from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
And we are ready to roll. We are ready. It is 19 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. And our guest tonight is the lovely Charlene White Christian. Charlene, good evening to you and welcome.
Good evening, Fidina. Thank you for having me.
Let me make sure that I have the right mic for you. Go again.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so it's this one. Charlene, an opportunity to say hello to those who are tuned into the program, family, friends. I know you can't call everyone's name, but just to say hello.
Yeah, well, I would like to say good evening and a special welcome to my family who's listening, my mom, my brother, my husband, my daughter, and to the members of my various groups, St. Alphonsus Junior Choir, Africa Justice Walkers, St. Alphonsus Youth Group. There are so many. I just want to say good evening to everyone, my colleagues from the Ministry of Education, even my friends abroad in Martinique who are listening, as well as those former students of mine as well who promised that they were going to listen this evening, former colleagues like Senior Joseph. Good evening, Senior. And I just want to say good evening to everyone, who's here this evening, who's going to listen to my story.
Yes. I want to start off by telling you how lovely you look with that flat hairdo.
Thank you for that.
You've been wearing it that way for a while.
Yeah.
But I do remember you having hair at one point in time. What was the decision to go totally flat like this?
Well, for that, it's a long story, but
we have a little time.
Well, really and truly, as you know, when I have a story as it relates to my pregnancies,
yes.
And this hairstyle was my second pregnancy. I was teaching French one day at the Goodwood Secondary School where I taught for 19 years, and I was having my class, and then I just felt uncomfortable, and I just left the students. I said, you know what, I'll be right back. I left the school. I went to Babe's barber shop on Stable Street, and I just told him, cut it off. I said, Babe, just cut it off. That was during school time, for them. And it was just troubling me that day. It was a day that, I don't know, in 2009. And from since then, I have worn my hair flat. I've never gone back to having.
How was it at that time before you decided to just go to the barber?
Well, my hair was long enough, shoulder length. I normally would keep it in a bun.
Okay, natural.
Mm-hmm. And then when I started to flatten it and pull it and straighten it out, but then I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I just decided on that day I was going to cut it off, and I just cut it off.
And you kind of tell us what went through your mind that particular day that you made that decision?
I have no idea. I just felt uncomfortable for some strange reason on that day, and I just left the class, the French class. I left them with some work, and I just said I'll be back.
Was it the hair that made you uncomfortable, or was it just your mind? Something
I
going
think
on
it
in your
maybe
mind?
was both.
Yeah,
I
both.
think it maybe was both. And it was a hot day. On that day, it was in the courthouse, you know, at the Google Secondary School, and I just felt that day the hair was just troubling me.
So, like we would say in local parlance, "Ute gêné."
Yes,
Ite
very
ka
gêné.
gêné.
So I just said, cut it off, bitch, cut it off.
And that was
it.
how long ago?
In 2009.
2000. That was a very long time ago,
It
Charlene.
was
And you've been wearing it like that.
ever since.
And you're comfortable.
Very, very comfortable. No chemicals. When I feel too hot, I cut it, you know. Sometimes I forget to brush it. It doesn't look too bad. So to me, it's the perfect hairdo for
It's
me
the perfect
at this
hairdo.
time. Though my daughter doesn't like it though.
Uh-huh.
She always wants me to grow my hair. But every time I try to grow it, I suffer from migraines.
Okay.
So every time I try to grow it, my head starts to hurt. So I just, you know, agree, well, that's the hairstyle for me now.
Well, it suits you quite beautifully, my dear. So, and I'm sure that your husband loves it.
Oh yes, he loves it.
He loves it. All right. Charlene, let's get to know you a bit, because even for me, I learned a few things just this evening, as a matter of fact. And I said to you, you know, Charlene, I think many people are like me. They don't know much about you. We know you in culture. We know you in teaching French. You always come to me for tea, Mademoiselle Francophonie. You know, so I know those kinds of things. I know you a lot on a professional level. I know you as well on a casual level. But I think that is why this program is so important, because it gives us the opportunity to get to know people. Just yesterday evening, I was having a conversation with Anthony Drygo, who does an online program, and I was saying to him, you know, Anthony, at this point, you know, a lot of people are saying to me, you should take your program online, and you know, why are you still on radio? No. My father, Ferdinand Frampton, started on radio. As long as Q95 allows me to be able to come in their studios and do this, it will be on radio. That will be the base of the program, and then we go ahead and we do the live, the social media element of it. But for me, just sitting there in the studio with a guest, making them comfortable, having that conversation, to me is nothing short of just amazing, and I love it. And I'm happy to have you here tonight, Charlene. And you know, we're just going to pretend like we're sitting at the bar and just having a nice, casual conversation. I know you're comfortable because you're used to that. I don't know how often you get to speak about your life, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this tonight. Where are you from, Charlene?
Well, originally I am from Goodwill. I lived most of my life in Libla Lane up until I was about 8. And then we moved to Greens Lane, which is where basically I did almost all my primary school and secondary school. And then my mom built in Wallhouse. At that time, Wallhouse was full of grass. And we moved there, and then I've been living in Wallhouse ever since. I actually built in Wallhouse as well.
You stayed right there.
I stayed right there because I love the environment. It's quiet, it's warm. I have some lovely neighbors, you know, the Lauras are very lovely. So I'm happy there.
We always have to get to know a couple of things. And it's that you mentioned mommy already. So let us talk about the parents.
Okay.
And I always like talking about both. I don't know what your story is on both, but I'm just taking a chance here.
That's fine. Well, I grew up with my mom, Elizabeth White. Basically, she's the only parent basically we've known. I've known since I was 5 because my dad was not around. And she's the one basically who made me who I am today. She's from Wesley originally, and she believes in education. She believes in cultivating a well-rounded individual. So I think that is why I am who I am in terms of not only an academic, but also someone interested in culture, in helping others. That was from my mom's end. As it relates to my dad,
what's her name?
Elizabeth White.
Elizabeth White.
Yes. I never grew up with my dad, but surprisingly, Dr. Dines, as you mentioned about my dad, it's surprising that I never grew up with him. And one day at work, I sat in front of the computer and then I was going through the online news, Dominican News Online, and here it is, I'm seeing an advertisement saying, okay, we're looking for the family of this gentleman who died in Grenada. But I know this is how I found out that my dad had died.
Oh my goodness.
And it was on Dominican News Online, just scrolling through the news and that kind of thing, because he had never been, around. And yeah, that's how we actually found out, where he was really and that kind of a thing. So really and truly, I mean, I was happy that at least I was able to bury him, though he was not around, because that is what my mom taught us. No matter what, happens, it's your father, it's your family. Family always comes first. And I've grown up with this, ever since. So.
I sometimes probe a little, if you don't mind, if you find I'm probing a little too much, feel free. So, you said Grenada.
Grenada, yes.
Was he Grenadian or Dominican?
No, he wasn't. He was Dominican, but he had left for many years and he lived in Grenada. And we had tried to get in contact with him, but we never did. My brother and I, Marcus, and basically that was it.
Did you ever meet him though?
No, I just don't remember him at all.
So, but you knew him, you were supposed to have met him little child.
I remembered him. I have a very vivid memory of him because he left when I was 5.
He left when you were 5?
Yes.
Okay. And outside of that, you've never known what?
Never known him, never had any contact.
Any photos,
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. But that's fine, that's life.
Yes. But what was that like for you though, Charlene? Knowing you had a father, but you didn't know where he was or what he was up to, and you didn't have him in your life.
But I tell you, I never missed him. Unlike my brother who did, I mean, he's a man. But you see, my mom made us so comfortable and she provided everything that you did not realize that there was a parent missing. She was the mother, the father, the everything, and she's always been that kind of person. So I never really missed him. I'm being very, very honest here. So, and I'm grateful for that because not many times people have that opportunity that I have had. To have a strong mother who, is behind you 100%, who ensures that she plays on your strengths and ensures that, you do your best at everything. Anything. Even my mom is the one who gave me away, for my wedding. So, I never really missed, that father figure. Though, I mean, my mom has had friends and so, who I have looked up to. I mean, I've had my godfather, Arthur Smith. There are certain people, who've passed through my life, so I did not really miss.
It's interesting that you said that you didn't miss him or miss having him around. I'm guessing here that you cannot miss somebody that you never really had around.
Exactly.
But I would also like to ask you though, Charlene, would you have liked things to be different? And if they were to be different, how would you have liked it to be?
I'm not sure if I would have liked things to be different. I mean, it's nice to have both parents around, but like I said, because of how I grew up, I'm not sure if I would change anything. I don't think I would change anything. But if he were around, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
And so you had to bury him, you said?
Yes.
You had to bury him. In Dominica or
no,
Grenada?
In Grenada.
So you had to go over to Grenada?
No, we had to liaise with the police and, we did all the transactions and the monies and everything. And, yeah.
Okay. And that's that?
And that's it.
What about mommy's parents?
My mom never grew up with her parents. She grew up with her grandmother. And she always speaks highly of her grandmother in Wesley. She was a midwife, and it's because of her that my mom is who she is today. I always remember my mom saying, well, when she got through with her common entrance, in those days, Sudana is 2 children from the country. And my aunt, Tato, in town, the little house is still there opposite the DFC, this little greenhouse. So my aunts, Tantufi and so forth, they are the ones who raised my mom, to, get her out of the country and get her into the convent high school. At the time she went to the convent high school. So she herself had that opportunity to come to town to go to school. Like a lot of students did not have that opportunity. So I think that is also one of the bases for her having us how we are. Being strict, but at the same time ensuring that we had all we had to have, including a lot of love, effort, and a lot of love.
Teachings from mom, you know.
Yes.
What are some of the things that this lady taught you as a young lady growing up through the years?
So then the first thing is independence.
Independence.
The very first thing is independence, because when you speak to my mom, she'll tell you my dad was her first love. So, and she had to be independent. So independence was the first thing. Always give. And she always tells us, give, no matter what, give, whatever you have, give, share. And your reward is in heaven. She always keeps telling us your reward is in heaven. Don't worry what anybody says. Once you can help someone, help them. So that has stuck with me for that. It's all through. And something she also always encourages is once you feel that you have the talent to do something, try it. Don't say, I wish I could or I think I can. You try it. You never know, it may work for you, it may not work, but at least you've given it, a try. And I've grown up with that, this thing about love and giving. So that is why any person who asks me for anything, once I can, I give it. If you need my help in anything, once I'm able, I help, because that's what I have grown up with. And it has gotten me a lot of blessings in return. It may not be a financial reward, but I've gotten a lot of blessings from that.
What about your brother?
Oh, I have a lovely brother, Marcus. He works at the Inland Revenue. And we've grown up very, very tight because it's been 2 of us.
Oh, I know your brother.
Yes, it's 2 of us. So my mom always says, I have 2 children. Everything has to be shared between the 2 children. So we've grown up with this. 2 children. I mean, my dad had 2 other children outside. I have a sister and a brother who are older than us. But it's always 2 of us. So everything for her is no matter what, it's 2 of us. So we've grown up, even now as adults, I'm married, and so if I have something, I share with him. If he has something, he calls me, says, sis, look, I have this, here you go. So we've grown up, like that.
It really sounds like mom, dad, brother, really nice, tight-knit family who stuck together, and from what I'm getting from you, it was a home filled with love.
Oh yes, but the love with a capital L.
Love with a capital L. But also ensuring that you were brought up the right way,
yes.
Right principles, and all of that.
And for them, even, as we are speaking here, sometimes when I tell people that the very first time I attended an evening pageant was a Queen show, and I was at the college in 1992. People look at me like, wow, you were in college? I said, yes, because my mother decided evening shows are for adults. And we grew up with that. So then we would have birthday parties. She would have from 3 to 6 for my friends, and from 8 o'clock for the adults. And while the adults are having their parties for them, I am in my bed.
And it's your birthday.
And it's my
your
birthday.
party.
So for them, that is how we grew up.
Yes.
So we grew up knowing this is your place. This is what you can do at that age, and this is for you, and this is not for you. And that is what I try to instill in my daughter as well.
Yes, and
this generation is a totally different.
We have to talk about this special miracle daughter as well as we go along. But let us talk about growing up generally, school, education. How important was that to the household, to both you, your brother, from your mother's point of view as well?
Very, very important. Well, I started off at the social center preschool, and then I went to the St. Martin's Primary School. There, obviously, for that, I received the best primary school education anyone could think of. In the day, we always felt that we were the best, and Martin School girls are the best. And then I went on to the convent high school, that is where I was really formed, and realized my strengths. I had some really fantastic teachers. That is where my love for French came about. Mr. Grimner was the one who really pushed me into French. I had some fantastic teachers like, Miss Prentice was always my favorite teacher in fifth form and so forth, and she still remains my favorite teacher, even though sometimes I can get on her nerves even as an adult, but people like Miss Prentice and so Miss Dublin had some fantastic teachers. And then I went on to the CIFO call at the time.
Is that we know?
Yes, the CIFO call, the sixth form college. And there I did sociology and French. And someone who really impacted my life was Francis Sevre. He was my sociology teacher at that time. And then from there, I continued on to university. I don't know if you want to speak about university now or afterwards. And then
I want to hear about the experience. For example, a lot of times people come here and they tell me about their days at the convent high school. What was that like? Friends from back there.
My days at the convent high school were very good. I was very troublesome for them. I was troublesome. I used to talk a lot for them. I was not one of the quiet ones. I have to be honest about that. I had some fantastic friends. We did a lot of, how should I say that, troublesome things, like making songs on teachers.
Oh my goodness.
I ended up in the office with a few of my friends because we made some songs on some teachers, and but that was fun.
What did mom say?
You don't want to know what that. It was horrible. But I was wrong.
Did she beat you? Did you get
No,
beat?
she did not. She did not give me a beating. I got it.
You got it.
Yes.
Good and proper.
Good and proper. And I was very involved in sports. I was on the convent high school netball team, so I played goal defense and goalkeeper during my years at the convent high school in 4th and 5th form. Convent high school basically formed me as it relates to French and being able to take responsibility. I remember in 3rd form, we did a French exchange, and Mr. Grimner could not come on the boat at the time with us. And he put me in charge. I was in 3rd form for Diamond. 3rd form, and I had 4th formers and 5th formers, but he saw that level of responsibility in me, and then he said, you're going to be responsible for the group. And they were teachers. And he said, when you get to Guadeloupe, you know exactly what you have to do. And, and I just took the group and we did what we had to do. And from then I just decided, if, my teacher could see that I have this sense of responsibility.
And leadership.
And from there, I was house captain of St. Cecilia's house, the best house in Convent High School, the best house, St. Cecilia. And even when we had little pageants, that's where my love for chaperoning came through. We had a pageant, and that was the very first time I helped to chaperone someone, at the convent high school, and she won. And and then I just took it from there. Convent just really formed me for that. My love for everything that I do now is from the convent high school. Because convent has a way of opening up people to looking at what they can achieve, and that's what I got from the convent.
A couple of things I'm going to pull out from that. So you chaperoned a young lady for your very first time.
My very first time in 4th form.
Yes.
I knew nothing about that, but I was chaperoned.
And you've chaperoned a few ladies to the Queendom in Dominica. And we will talk more about that as well. In addition to that, you also mentioned it was there that your love for French emerged. And you spoke about J. Grimner earlier on, and just the opportunity to take on a leadership role, even at the young age, in 3rd form. To steer your fellow students to a foreign country and to go there, do what you had to do, come back safely, and with no disturbances.
Yes. I mean, he joined us a day later.
Okay.
You know, but to leave, that was my responsibility. So you can imagine little me, you know, speaking to immigration, biting my tongue in French. You know, thought I could speak French perfectly at the time. You know, at that time you think that you can do everything perfectly. I mean, you know. But, you know, just the fact that I was given the opportunity, you know, it made me realize, wow.
There's potential. There's potential. And then you decided there that French was going to interest you.
Yes, I actually was leaning more towards Spanish.
Spanish?
Oh yes, because the higher marks were in Spanish. You know, I had a fantastic Spanish teacher, Silva Samuel, and you know, she was very enthusiastic, and you know, for her alone, you would move the world for Spanish. But then, when I really thought of it, I said, you know, what do I want to do in the future? And then I said, you know, I want to be a teacher. And I think I want to visit Guadeloupe and Martinique a little more. And I think all of that is because of the French exchange.
So you knew, not to interject, but you knew from the time that you were at convent that you wanted to be a teacher.
That I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a French teacher.
Any reason why a teacher? Because around that time we hear people talking about, you know, they want to be a doctor, they want to be this, you know, especially children attending that school. But you said teacher is what popped up in your mind.
I have no idea, but I think later on I was told that my great-grandfather was a math teacher and a principal. So I'm not sure if there was something there that poked me, but for some strange reason I just wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
You know, not a doctor, not a lawyer, not anything else, but a teacher.
All right, and so Charlie decided I wanted to be a teacher, but more so a French teacher. So you moved away from gravitating towards Spanish, and then you came back into French. But what was it about French at the time that caught your full attention to make the choice between the two?
I think it was everything to do with the way that the language was presented. And also, I remember when I went on my French exchange, the family that I stayed with, they kept on encouraging me a lot for Dinah as a Celeste family in Routier, in Guadeloupe. And they kept on encouraging me, and they kept on telling me, you know, speak, 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 make the errors will correct you, make the errors will correct you. And then they kept on inviting me back. So then there was a time I would spend every vacation in Guadeloupe at that family's home, you know, because they invited me.
You became family.
So I became family. So every time I would go, you know, they would not allow me to speak anything else but French, you know, and tell me, you know, this is the new word, and try, and I would be biting my tongue, so then I'm not sure what I'm saying, but they're telling me speak. So I'm just, you know, speaking, and I think that is where the confidence came in, and even a greater love for the language came. You know, and all of this is as a result of one French exchange from the convent.
From the convent high school. And so you would you have gone on to sixth form college?
Yes.
Or C4 yes, you did.
Yes, I went on to C4 and I did French and sociology, when my French teacher at the time was Miriam Augustus. And Miriam Augustine Augustus. Yeah, and that as well was very good because we did French at that time at the Alliance Française. And I was amazed at all what was happening at the Alliance Française. So it pushed me even further into the French. So if I had decided to change my mind at that time, you know, I was able to, you know, decide, okay, really and truly, this is what I want to do.
French at sixth form college, how was that?
Oh, that was good. That was fantastic. I had a very good teacher. I had very good classmates as well. We looked out for each other. You know, we also did French exchanges as well with Martinique, and that also continued to spark my interest, you know, even further. And yeah, sixth form was a good experience, a very, very good experience.
So the interest in the French language is there, and it's growing, and it's growing. But school ends, and what happens?
Okay, school ends, and then I said to my mother, well, obviously I wanted to teach. So I applied for a teaching job, and then I said I want to teach at the Goodwill Secondary School. After that, I actually said I want to teach at the Goodwill Secondary School because I don't know, there was something about the Goodwill Secondary School that drew me, and I was very troublesome at the time. So Jennifer Wallace at the time was the principal, so I troubled her a bit. I said, I sent my application and I want to teach at the Goodwill Secondary School. I want to teach at that school, no other school but that school.
Not even your alma mater? Not
even at the convent, but I just wanted to teach at that school. And so said, so done, I was accepted to teach at that school in 1993.
And you would have been 17 years old.
Yeah, 17, 18.
You entering into the classroom to teach.
And I had students who were much older than me.
Who were older than you. Oh, Jesus. What subjects did you get to teach there? Okay, when I entered, I taught French, I taught English language, because I also have a love for literature. So I taught language, and then I taught social studies. So these are the 3 subjects that I taught. Later on, I also taught moral development. Well, now it is family life education, but at the time it was moral development. There was a subject called moral development? Yes, before family life education. Okay. All right. So you ended up staying 19 years at that school. Tell me about some of the achievements, because as you said, there was something about that school that drew you. But we all know, that school was a school considered to be the one where some of the difficult, the unfortunate children would attend. So tell me some lowlights and highlights of your 19, close to 20 years at that school. Okay, some of my lowlights, I'll start there because they're not many. Okay. I'll tell you, one is the way that the public treated the students. So as a teacher, you have to put in more than 100%. Not only that, the students would come in with their own personal challenges and so forth, but because in your mind you want to make them into something that when they leave, as good citizens, productive citizens. It's like it tired me out sometimes. Because sometimes you are seeing a student that you want to help, that you want to get somewhere, and you're just not getting there. And at that school, basically I loved the challenge of having those that nobody else wanted. And as I'm saying that, a student comes to my mind. That's Glenn, that's Black. I don't know if a lot of people know him, the mechanic Black. He was a terror at school. Oh yes, a terror. And I just said, you see this student there, I'm going to take this student on my wing. And I remember I was his class teacher from 4-4, and then I said, you are the class captain. You made him class captain? Yes, and everybody said, but crazy man. How you can have that? But he has turned out to be such a wonderful person. But you knew what you were doing. Yeah, because you see, he always tells me, Miss, it's like you saw something in me, and you drive me, you moved me to, to be somebody. And when you think of those things for nines, you say, okay, I have impacted. And Goodwill Secondary School to me was a school where I was able to help quite a few students, and that is what I wanted. Because that's what my mom instilled in us. Help others. You have to help. So while I was there, I had quite a few clubs. I started chaperoning the Miss Teen Dominica pageant there in 1994. The very first contestant I sent, Donna Sylvester, she won. Wow. The second one I sent, Juanita Jules. A whole set of them, they won. I have quite a long list. From Goodwill Secondary School who won Miss Teen under me. So then I was a member of Antipan Steel Orchestra. And then I remember they were looking for a school to include Pan. And I said, well, Goodwill Secondary School, and that is a good thing of having a good principal. Because Jennifer Wallace Laffer was always, she was there. And then the other principals who came after were also very, keen on culture, like Mrs. Murdoch and these people. So I studied a steel pan group, so I taught steel pan at the Goodwill Secondary School for quite a number of years. And then after that, there were a few students who were very interested in music.
So Kendall Laura from Triple K and a few others. And then we said, why not start the GSS band? So we started the GSS band, the Google Secondary School band. Very enthusiastic, very good band. As a matter of fact, there's an ad, a Quenchy ad. And they are the ones who did the Quenchy, full your belly. That was a long
I remember that.
Right, so they were the ones who played.
And you started that band.
And I started that band with those enthusiastic students. Sometimes people feel like, this trend, they can do nothing, they have nothing, but they have a lot of talent. They may not be academically inclined, but they have other skills that we can play on and we can let shine.
Do you remember how you even got equipment for them?
Boy, for dance, I don't remember now. I just remember Kendall having his little keyboard, and I remember Bellot had his own guitar. In terms of the drum set, I don't remember clearly, but I think we had borrowed one maybe from the church, because I'm a member of the church choir and so forth. But we tried our best.
And you made music.
And we made music, and I mean, they did fantastic. They did very well, and they went on, to do greater things.
This is really nice to hear, Charlene, as it relates to the things that you did at that school to contribute to the development of these young people. Some of them, who knows, you help them probably stay away from trouble.
Yeah.
By giving them those extracurricular activities to engage in. I suspect these things were not part of the curriculum.
No, they were not. They were extracurricular activities. I mean, for them, I would leave school at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And the thing is that once students see that you are willing to give of yourself, they are willing to learn. And they are willing also to stay back. They are willing not to run home. Even French club, I did French clubs. I did a lot of French exchanges with Goodwill Secondary School. There were so many things. Choir. I studied at school choir, so we had a school choir. We had a dance group. So many things. And I always say these children are looked on as being, the low lives, if I have to say quote unquote. But really and truly, they are the ones who contribute the most, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who remain in Dominica. And they are the ones who can prove themselves. And sometimes, when you think of a school who can take a student, we had a student, Ian Libla, which I never forgot, who would come to school hungry every morning. And that boy would get something to eat from school, again, Jennifer Wallace Lafayette. And I remember when he was going to fifth form, he said that he did not want to go to fifth form. He asked not to go to fifth form. Now, quote unquote, in those days we would call him retarded, because he would walk funny, with a little dribble and so forth. And when you ask him, why don't you want to go to fifth form? It's like he said,
the meal.
Not just the meal, he couldn't write quick enough. And there was this teacher, Don Oscar, who just took him under her wing. And she took him in the afternoon and she said, okay, let's go, we're going to learn to write, speed and so. And I mean, when teachers can give of themselves like that, at the end of the day, he went in, and when he went to fifth form, you won't believe he got 4 1s. The retarded quote unquote boy, who was hungry, and he was one of our success stories at Goodwill Secondary. It's not that he was stupid, he was very bright. He just needed someone to guide him and to help him. And he was smart enough to realize, okay, the teachers here, they love me, they care for me. And and that is why I say Goodwill Secondary School is a loving school. Anybody who teaches there, you give off a lot of yourself. Right now he's in the States, he has his big job and whatever in an accounting firm and so forth. When you think of those things, we have so many success stories. Otis George, who played at the NBA, a number of years ago, was from Goodwill Secondary School. And I remember, by coincidence, a Sunday he said to me, Miss, there are some people playing basketball well, at the time it was at the Windsor Park, there was no stadium. And he said they told him, there are some, what do you call it, not coaches, no, scouts.
Scouts coming.
Yeah, so he said to me, because we were very close, and he said to me, Miss, you think I should go? I said, boy, go ahead, go, whatever, try your thing, do whatever you can, you never know. They might see you, and he's like, he was feeling like, it's like, who am I? I said, go, and lo and behold, he was chosen. Got a full scholarship to go to Berkeley and then on to the NBA. So you see, Goodwill Secondary School has produced, You know, and that, I feel probably that is where God had me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where He led me there.
That was for a purpose.
You know, that was for a purpose, so I could impact on others, and they themselves also impacted on my life, because I realized, you know, that, you know, at the end of the day, I impacted so many lives. You know, I'm going to a supermarket, meats, and there are meats in my head, meats, and I always remember my husband said I went to warehouse once for dine and I went back, because when we went, everywhere he told is miss. So Mali said, no, we're not going back, and I never went back to warehouse after that, just once, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, when you see that you can impact on someone's life, you know, that to me, there's nothing better than that feeling.
And Charlene, I'm listening here, and I'm really happy, and it really warms my heart to hear you actually mention some of the students that you and others impacted their lives so significantly at that school, and the things that they've gone on to achieve, the great things that they've gone on to achieve. I think that alone in itself, we can even end the program now. I'm just saying, you know, I mean, this is excellent, and it's good that you didn't give up on those children. It's good that you opened and provided opportunities for their natural talents and skills to be honed, and you know, for them to be able to do the things that they love. I mean, this is really good. If anything, I think this is one of the things that you should really be proud of.
Oh, yes, I am.
The 19 years that you spent at the Goodwill Secondary School, the teachers, the principal, and everyone else who supported the process of the things that you did. I mean, it really says a lot, and you need to be commended and applauded for that. And again, this is what this program is for. It is for us to, there may be a teacher listening to you now, you know, who is at probably not Goodwill Secondary School, but at another school, who's probably treating a particular student a certain way, and probably listening to you tonight, and probably tomorrow going in their mind saying, listen, I probably need to change my attitude towards...
So then you never know where you can fall, you never know what can happen to you. And sometimes it's those same students who are there to pick you up when you're at your lowest moments. You know?
So Goodwill Secondary School it was.
Oh yes, that's where my navel string was tied.
Before we get to why you left, well, we can talk about it. How did you, what caused your departure from that school?
Well, my departure was caused because I received a call at the time from Mr. Harrison to give me a few minutes to think to become principal of Granby Primary School. So
a few minutes.
You know, I think you can do it, and I'm very grateful to him for that. You know, I think you can do it. Okay, tell me yes or no. I think you would be a good principal, so I just have to say okay, yes, and that was it.
And that was it.
So that's how I left Goodwill Secondary School in 2008.
So a few things come to mind here, Charlene. Okay, so you're coming from the Goodwill Secondary School, but you're going to a community where we know, you know, people are normally afraid, you know, at the time. I think people are a little bit more comfortable now, you know, going to Granby. I'm not. It's close to my community where I'm from, Pishle. But I'm sure in your mind you thought, what am I thinking? Why would I want to go to Granby? What am I going to? What is it going to be like commuting, dealing with parents, dealing with the student? What went through your mind at the time though?
At that time, I just said, oh my goodness, principal at Granby. I said, you know what, Lord, if that's where you are leading me to, then I will go. And I went with a very open mind, a very open heart. And for that was one of my best experiences.
Are you kidding?
Oh yes, Granby.
After Goodwill Secondary?
After Goodwill Secondary School. The teachers were so lovely, so welcoming. I mean, you may have one or two that, you know, that are looking at you like, who's that little girl coming? Because, I mean, I was young at that time. I mean, the youngest principal, and they're looking at me like, who's that little girl coming? You know, but, you know, they gave off themselves, and they welcomed me, and the community as well, so Dinah, they welcomed me. They were very helpful. They worked with the school, and I started something that I just continued basically what I started at Goodwill Secondary, which was being involved in culture. So I started, in the pageant thing, sending the young people to Timatado, to Princess Show and that kind of a thing, having, activities at school, because sometimes in those communities, people don't really know that they are, we know that Granby is a cultural capital, but you have a lot of students who have talent. I asked them to start a cultural group, and Ben Ali Fam just took it and ran with it. So many little things that, and it was a lovely, lovely experience at Granby.
What was the plan going to Granby?
The plan going to Granby was not to change anything, but to help.
To build on what already existed.
On what already existed. And to work on their strengths, basically. Because sometimes we look down on those communities because they're not schools in town. Most times we tend to think that because you're not from a school in town, that your school is not important. And when I got to Granby, fantastic teachers, very intelligent students, some of them who came from not so well-off families, some of them who came from abusive families, but as principal, you are there to uplift, you are there to help, you are there to steer the ship, basically. And I just did what I had to do, and every time I go to Granby, I have to pray, because I'm saying, Lord, I don't want any shootouts, because at that time, that's what you heard. You're hearing about shooting out, and you're hearing about drugs, and you're hearing about this. But my experience, it was so good. I never experienced any of those bad.
What do you think Steve Harrison saw in you that he made that call to you that day?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But whatever it was, I am very thankful for it. At that time also, again, I think also Jennifer Wallace-Laffer also had a lot to do with that, because at the time she was the permanent secretary in the ministry, and she was my first principal at the Goodwill Secondary School. So I think maybe she had something to do with that as well.
Okay. And how long did you stay there?
I stayed there 3 years.
3 years.
And then from 2011, I moved to the Ministry of Education as the coordinator for modern languages. And then I've been there since. And even while I was there, again, Mr. Harrison told me, you know what, our visual and performing arts person is gone. Just hold on for a little while until we get somebody, and I'm still waiting for them to get somebody.
You still wait?
How many years now? But I enjoy what I do in terms of modern languages and visual and performing arts, because that's my thing. Right now, I am actually the national coordinator for the OECS Pearl.
Tell us about that.
So, it's a program organized by the OECS, among OECS countries. It's an educational program. It's a program for education advancement and relevant learning. And basically that program caters to various aspects of education: early childhood education, special education needs, leadership and management curriculum. So it's a program that lends itself to training of teachers, training of leaders, helping early childhood centers, assisting teachers who have students with special education needs, so that they can be better equipped to teach those students. So it's a program that is basically lending itself to uplifting the education system.
So what do you do? What do you do?
So basically my job as national coordinator is to assist with, we have some focal points for every area, and we work on various aspects. So for example, we have early childhood education centers that have been refurbished right now. We have 5 of them. So as coordinator, I work with the focal points. We have curriculum and assessment training. We are doing the revised curriculum guide for the OECS. So we have a team of persons working on that. So with the focal point, I coordinate. We had a special education needs rally not too long ago for the awareness of special education needs, and Mikael did a very nice jingle for us for that. So basically it's a lot of awareness, it's a lot of training for persons, ensuring that they are better equipped to function within their posts and their schools and whatever it is. We also have programs where the schools are receiving grants, for example, to do projects. So all of this falls under.
You started within the public service?
And I'm still in the public
service. And you're still within the public service?
Yes.
How long?
Well, I started in '93. So if you do a count.
So you said you need to do math?
Yes. 30 years in the public service.
30 years in the public service. How far have you come, Charlene? And can we say that where you are now is where you should be?
Where I am now is not where I should be. Probably that's where I choose to be.
Okay.
Because really and truly, if I had my way many years ago, I would have left the public service because it has had its challenges. And sometimes you feel like you're not appreciated. There are times when you feel like, you're just working for, for nothing. But at the end of the day, I say, what is what makes me happy. And once I can go home with a clear conscience, then I am fine. I could have left Dominica, and I was offered, positions elsewhere, because when I did my MPhil, for example, I could have been at the University in Martinique. I was asked to apply for a job in the UN. I did not. I remained, in Dominica. And sometimes I just feel, did I really make the right decision? Sometimes I think, did I really make the right decision? But when I think of it, I always say, you know what? I did it for my mom because she sacrificed a lot for us. And that was a sacrifice I had to make to stay back. Because sometimes every time I say to my mom, okay, I think I'm going to go away, she's not happy, you can see, it's like, it's troubling her. And I'm saying, boy, you don't want to be the one to break your mother's heart, so just be yourself and stay where you are. So really and truly, when I think of it, I'm not where I should be, but I am where I am happy.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that outside of that, there is something about Dominica itself, your country, that kept you here as well? And what would that be? Because
I love culture so much, I think that is one of the things that really kept me here. I don't know, there's something about culture, there's something about heritage and pride. Sometimes I say, I wonder, maybe I was an African slave, maybe in my previous life, I don't know. But that is what has kept me here for now. Really and truly. That's what I love. I just love this. Anything Dominican, anything to do with culture, anything to do with natural, I just love it.
And we'll come back to some of that along the way, but we're going to go back a bit to the education aspect of it. You have associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, MPhil. Let us talk about your journey through education, because after you left sixth form college, if I recall, you said you went to teach.
Yeah.
Where there did the further education, where was that inserted?
Okay, well, I was at Goodwill Secondary at the time, and I was also a teacher at the Alliance Française, and I assisted a lot at the Alliance. And I was president of the Foreign Language Association. And every year, basically, there was a small committee. We would choose, someone to go to further their education in France with a scholarship. And I remember in 2003, I'm saying to myself, like I shared with you earlier tonight, I'm saying, but this year they're not calling me, and nobody's calling me to be part of the team to select, what's going on. And then lo and behold, I'm receiving a call from Germany DD. Is your passport in order? Is this in order? Do you have this? And I'm saying, but what's going on? She's saying, yes, because this year we are sending you to study.
Wow.
Now, it was so ironic that every year you're on a committee choosing persons to go to study, but you yourself, you've never been.
You've never been to study.
You don't have any degree.
But
you are selecting
call.
people. And that is how I got to study in France at the Sorbonne University, Paris. So it was Mrs. Didier, and the team who decided, Mr. B, okay, that's it. It's time for you to go. And I went. I did my bachelor's degree in modern language, in living languages, as a matter of fact.
Living languages?
Yes. So my major was English language, literature, and civilization. So I studied English
in
a French university. And for Diana, sometimes we tend to say
That's
that
interesting.
we know English. For Diana, we don't know English. We speak English, but we really don't know. For Diana, that is where I realized that I did not know English. Okay, I knew what a verb was because I did French. I knew how to conjugate a verb. But you see, when we are taught English language at school, it's not the same that when you learn it, you go into the root of the language. And that's why I realized, oh, I did not know anything about the syntax of the language and all of this. You know, it was like, I thought it was an easy way out, but it was not an easy way out. And then from there, I applied for a second scholarship to do my master's at the same university. So I did a master's in French as a foreign language.
Ah, so you moved from English.
Yes. I love languages. So I did my master's in French as a foreign language. And then I did my thesis on Dominican languages. So I did my thesis on Creole, the Kalinago language, and the Kokoi language in terms of the origins and all of that. Because I love anthropology, I love culture. And then I wanted to continue to do my doctorate. So I wanted to start off. Obviously, if you're MPhil, you must do your MPhil if you want to do.
And tell us what is MPhil?
The Masters of Philosophy. It's a master's degree. But basically it's first year doctorate school.
Okay.
So I did that, but I did not do it in France because at the time my professor said to me, you know what, because of your interest is Creole, you know, Kokoi, Kalinago language, it's best that you stay, you go back to your country, go back to the Caribbean to do it, because to go back and forth from France, you know, doesn't make sense. And your study ground would be in the region and in Africa. So that's when I came back. So I did my MPhil at UAG, but at the time Université de l'Anguillan, that's in Martinique. So that's where I did my MPhil at the time. And I wanted to go on to do the doctorate, but that would have had to take me to Africa for some time, and my husband wasn't too comfortable about the Africa, and my mother wasn't too comfortable about the Africa. So I just agreed, you know what, you know, you're in Dominica, nobody checks if you have a doctorate anyway, they just call you Dr. So-and-so. But I mean, after you have a master's, you have two. You should be comfortable enough within your job, you know.
So as it is right now, you have, let's just speak. I mean, when people work hard, I do not call it boasting, I do not call it showing off or anything, but you made sacrifices and you worked hard. I want to hear. Tell me.
Okay, so I have a bachelor's.
A bachelor's in what?
In English language, literature, and civilization.
In English language, literature, and civilization.
Yes. Then I have a master's in French as a foreign language.
Master's in French as a foreign language.
And then I have an MPhil in language science, English language, Latin and American studies. So that's a linguistics degree. So that is the degree that I use to study, you know, basically the languages and so on.
But even before that, or in between that, there's a few diplomas here and a few this and that there.
I have so many. I have quite a few little diplomas, diplôme de langue. I just recently completed a postgraduate diploma in curriculum and assessment with the Joint Board of the Eastern Caribbean Joint Board of Education. So I just completed that in October. No, earlier this year. Yeah, October. Yeah. So that was the last one that I did, and I have other diplomas, teacher aid. So many for them I cannot even think. I have in planning, you know, I love to do event planning. So I have a diploma in event planning. I have a diploma in project management. I can't even think. So many. I love to study, so sometimes when the opportunity comes, I just take it.
Your brother is on the live cheering you on there, like yes. And then I am reading here, he writes, my sister's French natural gift has been inherited from our great-grandmother from French Guyana. That's what I've been told as a child.
Yes.
So there is a link there.
There's a link there.
To that. Are you planning on going any further at this time in terms of the...
I am hoping sometime in the near future, even though it's for my own benefit, to continue to do my doctorate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I think once I've gotten my doctorate, then I will feel that I have accomplished.
No, you've accomplished, my
what
dear.
I really want.
But you've accomplished so far. You've accomplished quite a bit, and again, I think it's something that you should be very, very proud of. The work that you've done, the contributions that you've made, and just making the effort to continue educating yourself in the areas that you love. I think this is just amazing. I realize we've not taken a break. Let's do that, and then you can have some water, and we're gonna come right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. It is 9:17, the time in the studios. For those of you who may just be joining us, this is Charlene White Christian in the Spotlight tonight, and quite a nice story there that we're hearing from Charlene. Now, as we're talking about a story, again, just mentioning Octavian Nicholas, Dominican born, based in Antigua, will be having a book launch in Dominica on the 23rd of September from 7 to 9 at the ballroom of the Prevost Cinema, and it is a true life story. It is her story that she's coming to share with us. The book is entitled Surviving a Narcissist, and as I said, it's her story. We invite you to join us on the 23rd. Tickets are available at the Glam Cosmetics, and you can also contact me as well for tickets. So also Zilma Charles Dowry, you can also contact her for tickets to this. Let us support Dominican, who is doing something. Again, it's her story that she felt she needed to write about it. The tickets cost $100, and that includes a copy of the book. Hey Marva, good evening to you, my dear. Marva is tuned in to the program. She refers to you as a very humble human, and it's someone I'm sure you've worked with at the DFC level. So we're just taking a quick break, and we're coming back. Marva, I hope that you will join us if you can at the book launch. It would really be nice to have you there, and all those of you who are listening. And don't think it's about women only, folks. Men are also invited to attend. We're coming right back. It is 19 past the hour.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight. In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of all people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
And we are back on the In the Spotlight radio show. This is our program. We returned after a few Mondays off because of the Electoral Commission consultations, electoral reform consultations that were going on. And we are here with Charlene White Christian on tonight's program. Charlene, let's talk about some of the other things that you are referred to as your interests. One of them I see there is reading. Tell me the fascination with reading. What do you enjoy reading?
All types of novels, and that came from my mom, because she also loves to read. And but I know reading is something that can get you so many places. It opens up your mind. And so for me, reading used to be my way out, my way of just being in a different universe. And even though I still read, I actually listen to the books now. I do that before I go to bed. I just listen to the books because the eyes are not as good as they used to be before. But that is something that I just love, romance novels. I love romance novels. I love history books, anything that talks about history, anything that talks about, I love things that, books that talk about inventions, anything to learn something new about a culture, a way of life of a people. I love to read those.
You're also interested in writing. What do you write?
Well, not as interested as I used to book before. I've had a few publications, as you've noticed. Some of them, well, the most recent publication, which I co-authored with Sonia Maglo Akpa and Margaret Celestine, which is a publication of Kek and One Creole, which is a text, basically a book for the learning of Creole. For anyone who wants to learn Creole. I've done quite a few publications as relates to the teaching of French, within our schools, the learning of French through Creole as a medium. 3 of my publications were for the Francophonie, so they were published in Paris. I've also done a publication, I've done a paper for RF, that is in Martinique. One of my most recent publications of 2021 also was one for the University of Bedfordshire, where I wrote about the Creole language in Dominica. And because I don't know, there's something about the Creole language, but then I can speak it to save my soul. Where I can speak it well, I can bite my tongue. I can read it, I can understand it, but I cannot speak it to bite my tongue. But at the same time, I'm so fascinated by this language. So I can write it, I can listen, I can understand, but to speak it, I am not. Most times I put a lot of French in there. I guess the French thing. But I'm fascinated with this language. So a lot of my publications are to do with French and Creole. And most of my publications were done through, not in Dominica, but out of Dominica. Any
that are available on the market for sale?
Those that were published in France, I guess they would be available. They are still available in France, but they were published by the Francophonie. The Annual Point Creole is available at Jay's. Kek, Community Creative Creole, also have other publications which I contributed to minimally, like the proverbs and so forth. Those are available at the Cultural Division.
We also know about, and you've mentioned quite a bit about it as it relates to your love for culture. Tell us about some of the contributions you've made.
As it relates to culture, well, pageants basically is one of my first loves. As you know, I'm pretty well accomplished. That one day is not about boasting, but I'm pretty well accomplished there. I have 22 crowns, 22 young people who I have chaperoned, who have.
And that spans from what?
that spans from Princess,
Princess,
Timatato, Miss Dominica, Mass Jamboree, Miss Walk to Yet, even little village shows and so forth. And then I have done quite a few spectacular wares. I love to work with my hands. I love art and craft, so I love to work with my hands. And I have done quite a few spectacular wares that have won various competitions for various contestants, both here and out of Dominica. A lot of that skill and nurturing that skill I give to Danny Guy, because I mean I come up with an idea, and I mean I had my little skill, but he really took me under his wing and taught me quite a bit, so I was able to do on my own.
So you create, or you design and create?
And create. Yes, and I've done quite a bit of those. You know, they've won. I used to help to build costumes with Danny to assist, so that's how I learned, you know, my little skills thanks to him. Also, with all my love for culture, I also was a member of the National Cultural Council for up until 2021. And then, when the Rosa Cultural Group started with Daryl Phillip, I was a member. When I was young, Jacinta David, I did a lot of dance.
The late Michi rest in
peace. Yes, the late Jacinta David. That's where I learned to dance quadrille and mazu.
Oh, you danced those things too?
When I was a child, I was much younger. Even Maypole, Daryl Phillip is the one who taught me Maypole. You know, at that time.
What you call it?
Maypole.
What is that?
It's a dance.
That's the first I'm hearing about this one.
You have a long stick and you have a string and you dance around, and it's like you're plaiting the stick as you're dancing. So Daryl Phillip, I mean, there are so many things that we don't do anymore. I learned to dance ballet. I mean, now I'm plump and heavier, but I mean, at the time I was not so plump and heavy. I was much smaller, so, and I enjoy doing those things. I'm sure I know one thing is my mother always pushed me to do those things. I can do quite a bit of things in terms of things like crochet, embroidery, smuggling, all of those things. My mom pushed me. I mean, she was just pushing me because she saw I had a love for those things. So anytime someone came and said, okay, here, let's go. Even the choir, I joined the choir at 9 years, and I'm still at the choir, St. Alphonsus Junior Choir. You know, someone came one day and said, yeah, she sings, man, she has a nice little voice, put her in the choir. My mother didn't sing twice. You know,
she put in the choir.
You know, so those things. And then now I have my daughter now, stilt walkers. I never learned to do stilt walking, but I have placed my daughter in that because I have a love for that type of art form. I think it's a wonderful art form. So Africulture stilt walkers now, you know, is one of my areas that is my home as well. You know, as it relates to creating of pageants, the Mademoiselle Francophonie pageant is a pageant I created quite a few years ago, because I realized there were a lot of students who had talents, and I used it as a means of not just promoting Dominica's culture, but also promoting the culture of various Francophone countries. So that is the reason I created that pageant, and that is the reason that, you know, it has been so successful. As it relates to Carnival, you know, I am on the road parade committee. I've been there for a long time. Thanks to Noreen Josie, she took me under her wing and taught me quite a bit as it relates to Carnival and road parade. So I learned a lot from there, so I have been actively involved in Carnival Road Parade for a number of years. As it relates to other things like Miss Walk Juliet and all of those things, I've assisted not only contestants, but I have, you know, offered my services to the cultural division. I mean, I work closely with Carlton. If he needs me for anything, he will call. Even today, he would call me. You know, so I try my best to, you know, to spread my wings, because I have a lot of knowledge, and I think it's good to share that knowledge. I mean, when you die, it's gone, you know, so it's better to share it with others.
And that is the point I was actually going to make, because what I'm picking up here is that, first of all, you had the interest in many of those areas, but people saw the abilities in you, and in many instances, from what I'm gathering, people took you under their wings. From mom at home to the others you've mentioned who took you under their wing. But what is really striking to me, and what I admire about what I'm hearing from you tonight, is that you definitely are not keeping it to yourself.
Oh no, I
The
can't.
same way that others molded you and took you under their wings, I see that you're imparting the knowledge and you're passing it on to others as well. And Charlene, I think that is the beauty of having knowledge and having information, the ability to be unselfish in sharing it with others is really the icing on the cake in all of this.
And to me, that is what is most important, because we gain knowledge not for ourselves, but to share, to help others, to educate others. And I mean, as an educator, I think that is one of the main things. I've taken quite a few young people under my wing. I've helped quite a few of them. Even when you hear Leandra speaking, Leandra Landon, with my cousin, she'll tell you, I am the one who got into art and craft, into using her hands.
And now she's made a business
much better
out
than
of
me.
it.
No, I can't even come in her shoes.
Yeah, she's made a business out of it.
So
that is
kind of thing.
awesome.
I remember when we did the cookware costume in 2002 for Mahalia Richards. And when I asked Juanita Jules, I said, Juanita, you want to help with that costume? And she said, yes. And from then, she has just blossomed. And Juanita Jules is even better than me now in creating costumes. And she's excellent.
Very
in what she
talented.
does.
Very, very talented.
So there are quite a few people that when I look at them, I said, okay, you've done something. You've helped. And I'm proud of that for them. I'm very, 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 very proud of that.
And you've made your contribution in terms of the Dominica Festivals Commission or committee as it is called now. And quite a few other areas. And people like you fall in the category of great Dominicans. I think we're all great Dominicans in our own way. Somebody might be saying, well, Philani, you are a great Dominican too. But it's people like you, so all and well-rounded in so many areas, making your contribution. I think this is just excellent and brilliant. And I suspect we're still going to be seeing more of that as time goes by. Charlene, I want to talk about, I'm going to move to a whole different area. We still have so much to talk about the French language because there's a lot you've done there and a lot still to come in that area. But I want to talk about family. You're married?
Yes, I am.
Yes, to Mr. Mustache.
Yes, Mr. Mustache.
Does he still have a mustache?
Yes, he still has a mustache.
As we speak, is it
It's
long?
not as long, but it's short.
Was that the attraction? Charlene, talk to me. How did you and Marley meet, sir?
It's not the mustache. No, the mustache is a thing that came after. I'm not sure. I think it maybe was. I mean, when I say that to people, sometimes they're like, "Who?" But then I joined the choir when I was 9. And I remember my very first choir practice. When I went to choir practice, I saw this young man drumming
No way.
with 2 big eyes. So then 2 big cocos after that. And that was man drumming. I said, but at those little ages, you have a little crush.
Of course.
A little crush, and then you finish with that, and then life continues, and you grow old and so forth. And then I remember I met him again when we were at a party, a Carnival Eve party, and then that was it. From there, it just sparked. I was at the college. I was at the Seafood at the time. And then we just, got got together basically, and then that was it. But I mean, I always used to like to see this boy with these 2 big eyes. Your heart beating fast.
He was destined.
On the street, and when you're not saying anything, you're a little girl, you kind of,
And your mother would be good for you.
So you have to behave yourself, And basically that was it. And then when we are married now for 22 years.
22 years.
This year.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. And very often you hear people say, marriage is not easy. It has its challenges. It has its so on, and I suspect you may tell us the same.
Oh yes, it does. Sometimes he gets on my nerves, and sometimes I get on his nerves too. But that's part of being human.
Of course.
Sometimes I just say, well, why do I marry Mr. Funnel? But at the same time. But at the same time, that's the joy of life, and
And you have a beautiful daughter.
Oh yes, my miracle child.
Your miracle child, and it's been a journey to her.
Oh, yes.
It was a journey to her. I had a guest on my program, Anastasia, and Anastasia would have shared with my audience that she had 7 miscarriages. And, she still had a very good spirit about it. Charlene, talk us through your journey.
My journey has not been a very good one, if I have to say that. When I was pregnant with my first child in 2007, and then she was born at 29 weeks, but I stayed in the hospital. Now that is the year that I assisted Leandra Landa, and I was in the hospital before the pageant, before the Miss Dominica pageant. So that's why at that time Natalie Marshall obviously had to take up the reins. So Natalie was in the lead, but I was assisting as the assistant chaperone at that time because I couldn't, and I had told Leandra because she tried the first time, and then I was studying in France, and I told her, wait until I come back to Dominica, then you can go for Miss Dominica. So that is why, if you realize, she had signed in 2 years prior or 3 years prior, and then she went when I came back to Dominica. But I was pregnant at that time. And then I spent like 2 months in the hospital on bed rest. And I had a fantastic doctor, Dr. Nubi Black, very, 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 very wonderful person. And then she prepared me in the event that the baby came early. And then the baby did come early at 29 weeks. And I remember Ferdinand going to the bathroom, and then I thought I was going to urinate and it just wasn't stopping, so my water bag burst that night. I remember saying to God, whenever I want to make that baby comes, ensure that it is the midwives who, I had a very good relationship with some of those midwives, Dennis Bowers and a few others. And surprisingly, they are the ones who were there that evening. And then baby came, had to push out baby, and I always remember, and I always share that story with people, because you see, I say to them, I've gone through what any woman could go. I don't think any woman has gone through what I've gone through. And then I remember Dr. Blah always said to me, Charlene, no matter what, trust the midwives, because they are delivering babies more often than us. They are integrity. And that is all I kept on remembering, trust the midwives. And then that night, baby came. I remember one midwife came. Oh, I'm not feeling it. I'm seeing her face. She's looking funny at me, and she's looking funny. And she called another midwife, and she said, that's not it. Then I remember Bob said, call Dr. Blah. I called Dr. Blah. Couldn't get Dr. Blah. But anyway, finally, we got Dr. Blah. Dr. Blah said, let the doctor know what deal with it. So the doctor said, well, I'm feeling hurt. She can push. And the midwives watch each other. And I always remember Dr. Blah saying to me, trust the midwives. That's all I kept on remembering. And Ferdinand, when the midwife said to me, no, call Dr. Blah. So from that time, I realized something
is wrong.
And when she came, I remember that clearly. I had no, any nothing like that. I wasn't prepared. It's like baby was coming. And I got into that room. And when Dr. Black came, she told me, okay, Charlene, you have to push because baby was already done. And then I remember very clearly Dr. Black said, oh no, it's not the head, but you have to push, And I frightened. My mom is there, my husband is there, everybody looking at me. It was the bottom, so I pushed out a baby bottom first. And I remember,
oh wow,
that so her lungs got a bit squeezed and so. So even though Dr. Black had prepared me, the baby's lungs had gotten squeezed. And then I remember they had told me, well, okay, I need to get a surfactant for the baby to help the lungs, which I did, $3,000, I'll never forget that. And then when I went to the nursery the following day, I saw she had less motions. I said, hey, but that's interesting. And then they said, she's breathing on her own now. I said, wow, it's a preemie. They have all the complications and so forth. And then I remember listening to me, all the doctors are going to come tonight when they're going to administer the surfactant because it's the first time that they're doing it in Dominica. So I said,
How did you feel about that?
I mean, I felt, okay, well,
You have to
that's
trust
okay.
them.
Every doctor, for a person to become a good doctor, they had to experiment on somebody. They had to do something once on somebody for others to learn. But for then I remember sitting there and I'm saying, but it was after eating, I'm saying, but nobody's coming to tell me anything. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening. And then when I went across, so then I'm telling you, when I saw my child, she was bleeding through her head, her eyes, her skin. And I'm saying, but, and then the doctor is saying to me, no, we were going to call you. But I think they had realized at that moment that it was useless. And I think that was a reaction, what do you call it, a side effect of the surfactant. And I remember calling my husband and I'm telling him, the nurse told me she needs blood, and Mali put Dr. Tong in 20 minutes from Portsmouth and went to give blood. When he went to give the blood, there was nobody to go and collect the blood. And it was just a journey, but it was just a kind of an experience for Ina. And I remember there was this nurse who, when they got the blood, she started flying things in the cupboard because she's looking for a needle to put in the baby's hand. And then I said, at that moment, I said, what, God just knew what he was doing. And then that same night, she passed away, but so she lasted 2 days, basically. But I had baptized her, because I had called in Father Laughter to baptize her, so I was able to bury her. Yeah. So I was able to bury her in the cemetery. And for a whole year and more for that, I would cry. And then I remember Martha Loblack made that. She came to me and she said, what did you ask God for when you were in the hospital? And I said to her, I asked for a healthy, normal baby. And she said, so stop crying. And that is when I stopped crying. She said, because God answered your prayers. Because he knew that your baby would not have been healthy and normal. So that is why he took her back home. And that is when I stopped crying for them. And I share that story because I say to people, sometimes you think that you see people walking on the streets and you don't know what they go through. And some people feel like they cannot get through certain situations. And that was in 2007. Then in 2009, I got pregnant again. And then I remember I left Dominica. I went to St. Lucia for a conference and so. And I'm feeling baby moving in my stomach for times, and I'm saying, okay, everything is fine. And when I came back home, I went for my normal checkup. And then I'm seeing Dr. Black's face is like, she's not hearing a heartbeat. There was no heartbeat. So that was the second time.
Now, how far along?
I was 23 weeks, but the baby, when they looked at it through the scan, the baby looked at 19 weeks, which means the baby had been dead for a number of weeks in my stomach. Yes. So then here it is. Now I had to go to the hospital, obviously, to push out a dead baby.
Oh my God, Charlene.
And so then it wasn't a beautiful experience. I can tell you. I have a very high threshold for pain. So here I am in the hospital, and I'm trying to push out this baby. And then this baby gets stuck halfway out. It's a story I share because I say to people, I've gone through anything that a woman can go through. And here it is, the baby is stuck. And I had to call Dr. Black to tell her, look, I am here alone. And then she had to call the doctor for them to come. Because I couldn't push out. And I kept on saying to Mali, just pull it out. And he said, no, I cannot do that. Because for then here I am, no pain. And I have a baby halfway, half out, half in. And then finally the doctor came and pulled out the baby. We never even looked to see whether it was a girl. It was a boy.
So up till now,
I have no idea whether it was a girl or a boy, because I was so, and then I ended up being so weak after that, because that is an experience. And then I remember Dr. Black saying to me, you know what, if you want to have a child, you have to try to have a child now. So I had to take hormone injections, and it was a whole long story for Shamala, who's my present daughter. And then I remember saying to Dr. Black, I am not pushing out any other child. After pushing out one, you understand, who died, pushing out a dead one who got stuck, I am not pushing out any other baby. And I remember she always said to me, I don't want you to have any scar or that kind of a thing. So she said to me at 37 weeks, she's going to send me up to the hospital. She said she'll take the baby early and that kind of a thing. So then you believe the same night I went to the hospital. again, I went to the washroom and I said, but I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. So the midwife came. Again, one of my midwives from my previous pregnancy. I said, come, let me check you. Just come, let me check you. Just joking with me, you know, because I was there. I had to rest for a few days before I had a C-section because I paid for a C-section.
You're not pushing out.
I am not pushing out any baby. And she said, wait, and the baby is coming, man. I said, which baby that is coming? She said, yes, I am. How many, whatever that is. I closed my legs and I said, I am not pushing out any baby. I said, at that
you
time,
were adamant about
yes,
that.
I said, I am not pushing out any baby. She said, but you have to push out the baby. I said, I'm not pushing out any baby. And then at that time, I called Dr. Black. I tried to get her all ways, all means. I mean, I called people who couldn't get her. And finally, we got her. And God is such a good God that He has a way of doing things that sometimes we don't understand. We just have to accept. When she came with Dr. Odiama because they were together at a function at Dr. Roberts. And then I was excited. I said, I'm going to take epidural for 9. So I took my epidural and I said, okay, I'll see when the baby comes out. Nobody's going to put me to sleep. And Dr. Bly is touching my stomach. Are you feeling it? But I am not feeling anything. So they came, okay, so she started her cutting. For 9, when she maybe was quarter way or halfway, I felt the pain and I started to scream.
You felt it?
I felt the pain. So right there, they had to put me to sleep. So that was my experience with epidural. Okay? And then when I woke up, obviously, and I looked, I saw my daughter in my husband's arms. So that is why I say to people, that's my miracle baby. And, you know, I've gone through what any woman, you know, could go through. But at the end of the day, I think God had a reason for me to go through that. Because I have met quite a few women after that who have been distraught, who have been discouraged, who have been broken, who have gone through depression because they've not been able to have a child or they've lost. And I share my story because sometimes you never know who may have gone through that thing and they don't know how to deal with it. But the most striking thing for me is, I always say to people, if you've prayed for something,
trust God.
Trust God. Trust the process. Trust God, because He knows exactly what He is doing and He knows exactly why He is doing it. You know, so that's my story.
Did you have to go through therapy or?
I never did, and I always remember my friend Joanne Roca had said to me, you know, I always need to do a debriefing, but I said, you know what, now I think I am okay. I think I'm fine, because I have my daughter now, who's my pride and joy, so I focus on her, and I thank God for her, you know, and I pray that, you know, she gets to live a very long life, and, you know. So, but I've never really done the counseling. I've spoken to people about it.
I think that in and of
speak
itself.
to people about it, I also feel better, because now I can speak about those experiences without crying.
You make me cry, but you're not crying.
I would be in tears and so, but then, you know, because I believe, and I have a very strong support system, a very strong family.
How was that for Marley? These different experiences.
I don't think he took it. Sometimes men try to play like they are tough, but I think that he has had his moments. Sometimes he would break down as well, you know, as a man. But then, you know, we do it together. You know, we go through it. We've gone through it together, and we'll continue to go through together. You know, that's basically what it is.
And how is your daughter? Tell us about her.
Oh, she's fantastic. She's a gem. She's troublesome too, though. And she has a hard head like her mother when I was her age, but and she's very talented too. And people will tell me, why am I putting her in everything? I'm putting her in everything because at the end of the day, I want, if I do close my eyes tomorrow, that she has areas that she can choose. So she's doing music with Auntie Pearl. She's doing stilt walking with the Africulture stilt walkers, dance with Lucia Lander. You know, she's doing swimming. You know, so I put her in practically everything that I can, and when she grows up, she will choose. She just had the national assessment, and she's now at the Convent High School, so she's in first form.
Congratulations on that, and I think with everything else that you went through, as you said, you know, God had what He had planned for you, and that was her.
Yeah, he has a plan. And all of that stems from, you see, I'm listening, this is the St. Alphonsus Junior Choir is a choir that has made me, you know, made me strong, because, I mean, as we continue to grow up, we had a very strong choir leader, Esther Robinson, and prayer for her is the number one factor. So I learned to pray, and that is what is most important, you know, and it's because, you know, of my involvement in church and that kind of a thing that I think I was able to, you know, carry on and sustain. Or else probably I'm not sure where I would be today, maybe depressed in a corner somewhere, you know.
That in and of itself is, you know, an experiences that, like you said, other women could have gone through, but it's the first time I'm actually hearing about someone having to push out a baby from the bottom area. You had to spend money on a piece of equipment, I presume.
Yeah.
It was a drug.
Yes.
Okay. That you 2 days later, you know, it didn't do what you wanted it to do. But again, you cannot question God, you know, at the end of the day. And I think you've learned that. You've learned that you cannot question God. You can't even blame anybody at the end of the day. Are you still in a position to have more? Would you?
I don't want to have any more.
You don't want to have any more.
One is enough.
One is enough for
Thank
now.
you, Jesus.
All right. An opportunity to get a sip of water again. Charlene, it's almost time for us to wrap up. What I'm going to do quickly is, for those persons, I should suspect there may be a few persons out there who may want to call in and just, you know, say something to you, and we can do that quickly. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. There is also an overseas number, 1-305-432-9624. So many things, you know, I've learned from Charlene tonight on this program, and a couple of things stand out to me, and one of them is the time spent at the Goodwill Secondary School, and those young people that you assisted to make something of themselves, to recognize their talents and their skills, and to today be major contributing members of society. Granby Secondary School, Granby Primary School, in and of itself, you know, would have been one that stands out to me too, the way the members of the community embraced you, you know, and that the experience of the babies, you know, it's tough. Good evening. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Oh.
Lord has blessed her with a lot of talent. I keep praying for her every day. But then, if you call Charlene, she's very humble. She's helpful. But then if you call Charlene tonight, Charlene is in her bed, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you say, Charlene, I'd like to get a spectacular bed. But then, she will not refuse. Refusing is not in her DNA. Anything you call Charlene to do, she will do it. It could be what time in the night you call Charlene, and she answer that phone for that, she will tell you yes. So I just thank God for her, and I just keep praying for her every day. Thank you for that. So hold on.
Yes, hello.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Brother, no.
Hello, Marcus.
Yes, don't cry, alright?
She's crying, yes.
Well, I just want to thank my lovely sister I've been there with her side by side, and she has done a wonderful job in the presence of God. All the kids and talent. Okay? The love is alright.
Oh, I think this really meant a lot to her, both you and your mommy calling, just to speak to her and to let her know. I mean, just hearing your mother say that she thanks God for you, I mean, that is just amazing. Thank you so much, Marcus and mommy. All right, let's take this one. All right, good evening.
Good evening, Helena.
Good evening, that sounds like Salufa.
Yes, good evening, Charlene.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Charlene, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Charlene, I stayed up all night listening to you, and the thing that really, really touched me is that you said something that a lot of us do not realize. You see people every day, but you never know what they are going through or what they're going through. And God bless you, and continue to do the good that He put you there to do. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Salufa. Let's take this call. Good evening to you. Hello, can you hear us? Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening, good evening. I want to say a big thank you to Miss White Christian. I'm one of the past students that she inspired so much. Miss White gave me an outlet. I was very troublesome for this school. She gave me an outlet. I used to drum on the desk. She gave me an opportunity to play the drums. Be part of the speech competition. To participate in junior monarch. Oh my God, she took us to Ayat process to do poetry at Ayat process. Man, Miss White, I just want to thank you so much. You inspired me so much. You gave me an outlet. I can never forget what you did for me. And because of you, I'm the person who I am today. And the work that I do now is the same thing that you did for me, is to give other young people opportunities to sign and to give them an opportunity to express themselves. So Miss White, thank you so much. Words can't express it. So, and that is Ghani, by the way.
You're welcome.
You recognize the students. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. The overseas line is 305-432-9624. All right, the overseas number, Mahali, is 305-432-9624. This is local. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Charlene. I'm speaking to you, my cousin. Your grandfather was my uncle. Visit me and your brother at Goodwill, and I was happy to family that your grandfather was married in what do you call it? Jubilant. He had 4 children. That union brought 4 children. Your father, 3 boys and 1 girl. And we will always think of you when you came to visit me at Goodwill. And I will listen to everything you say. And bless you thus far. And thank you for everything you did for the other people. God will continue to bless you. Never forgotten you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can take the overseas line now. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Frederick McNair. I'm calling from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia.
Hi, Petra.
To my sister Charlene, I want to say that I'm very proud of all of your accomplishments. You've played an integral part in society and in children's life. And I pray that you continue to strive and be a beacon for them all. We love you here in Savannah. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Petra.
All right,
That's
so
Maddie's family.
that's Marley's family. Good evening. Hello. Hello. All right, we'll take this one. Good evening.
Yes, good night.
Good night to you. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Good night to both of you. I lie down there and I listening and I call to give the madam courage for her courage to come out and talk about her experiences. Because old people say, when you have a problem, you tell it to somebody else. You don't say, oh, your problem big, but you to hear somebody else who. Tell a lady to keep up and continue in God. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so just someone there calling to give you some encouragement. I know, Charlene, you know, sometimes it's not very easy to speak about some of what you shared with us. And as I said, I remember when Anastasia came on and she shared, you know, I was so thankful to her, and so many others were so thankful to her for just sharing her story with us. And here you are this evening, similar but different, but at the same time, it takes a lot of courage to be able to share that kind of story. Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, you're on. Go right ahead.
Okay, good evening, Fernand, and good evening to Charlene. Call to congratulate Charlene on all her achievements. I have known Charlene since she was a little girl. I have known family, her mother and her brother. I worked with her mother, and I can say that she has accomplished a lot in her life. And what I loved about the program tonight is, you know, all what she has done to help other people, and that's the beauty of it. She did not keep it to herself. And like I started to say in the parties, I was one of the persons who used to be in the parties. Congratulations, Charlie. And that's good, true.
I recognize the voice.
All right, I think it's already 4 minutes past 10 o'clock. If one or two other calls come in as we're wrapping up, we'll probably take those. But Charlene, anything that I know these touch you, the calls really touched you, especially your mom, your brother, your husband's family, and just even the general public who are just listening and pointing out here that, and it's something that I made a note of earlier on, it's about having the knowledge, it's about the beauty of it all is sharing it, imparting it to others, and helping others become better persons, whether it's in creating employment for themselves through a craft they learned. The gentleman spoke about playing drums and all of that. I mean, this is just excellent. This is just excellent. Charlene, we have to start wrapping up. So anything important that we didn't touch on that you feel that we need to share before we wrap up?
Not really. I think basically we looked at everything that I would have loved to share. You know, my love for French and the Alliance Française, you know, Creole and cake, my accomplishments, you know, the students that I've helped, what I've done throughout my life, you know, and my experience. I think basically we've done well in terms of me sharing my life basically with our listening public. And I just really hope that at the end of this that I have at least touched someone or inspired someone, especially someone who may be going through something that they may need somebody to talk to, or you know, maybe that avenue that they have at least found some way, you know, to succeed in whatever it is that they do. And yes, that's basically it. And I just want to say to people that everything is possible in life. Nothing is impossible. And I mean, I learned that from my mother. No matter how far you think it is to reach, once you put God first, then everything is possible for them. Everything.
I believe that, and you're an example of that. Any recognitions along the way so far? Awards?
Well, yes. Well, I recently received the Golden Drum Award, which is the top cultural award. And that's basically what I can think of, because right now my mind is going.
Yes. And there's more to come.
My mind is going.
There's more to come for sure. Charlene White Christian, I want to thank you for a really heartwarming, deep program tonight. There are many people out there who are very grateful to you for the love, support, guidance that you've provided to them. And I think God is continuing to watch over you, watch over your family, your miracle daughter. I know you're very proud of her, both you and your husband. And I can only wish you well in the future. Continue doing the good that you do for your family, for your friends, and for society by extension. If it's one little thing you can do to make life better for someone, continue to do it. Never mind what others may have to say about it. Thank you, my dear. I'm going to give you a final word as we wrap up. But before we do that, I just want to plug in my dear Octavia again, Octavia Nicholas, and that book launch happening on the 23rd. Please get your tickets. Let's support her. It is a real life story. It is not a story that she's made up. It's a real life story. And we're going to be at the ballroom of the Prevost City Mall on the 23rd of September from 7 to 9 p.m. It's going to be an entire package, a book launch of a difference, and you can get your tickets at the Glam from myself, also from Zilma Charles. If you know Zilma, she's closer to you, you can get it from her as well. But let's support Octavia on the 23rd of September. All right, Charlene, just an opportunity to give some final comments and we wrap it up.
Well, I just want to say thank you for Dinah for having me and for allowing me to share my life story. To all those who listened, thank you very much for giving me your listening ear. For all those who have impacted on my life in one way or another, especially my family, and there are some very special people like Esther Robinson and Simeon Joseph and Jennifer Wallace. There are quite a number of people, even my very good friend Janita Harrigan, she doesn't know how much she means to me, and my colleague Candy Robinson. I just want to say thank you for continuing to support me, and I just pray that we continue to help others achieve their goals. And for Dinah, I think that tonight I was very happy to be welcomed on your program and to be asked to share my story, and I just ask God to bless you for that. As you continue to do what you've been doing.
Thank you, Charlene.
You know, which is very, really, really, really good, allowing others to share their life story.
Yes.
So thank you and have a good evening, everybody.
I'm sorry your family made you cry, but that happens on this program as well. Hey guys, that's a wrap for tonight. Next week we should have Pelham John Baptist joining us on the In the Spotlight radio show. So we touched base even yesterday, and hopefully he should be back on island by that time, and we should be good to roll. So looking forward to that next week Monday. Charlene, it was an honor and a pleasure, and you take care, my dear, and go out there and continue doing good.
Oh, I will.
That's right. That's it on tonight's program. Until next week Monday, good night everyone, and God bless as always.
If you have suggestions of guests or topics and issues you would like featured on In the Spotlight,